Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. It's Football Fan 148 here this morning, and of course, as you all know, the 2022/23 Premier League fixtures have been released, and yeah, they look rather interesting, I have to admit. Yes, there's some really interesting Premier League fixtures here for the opening day, opening weekend of the season. And the opening game of the season will officially be on Friday the 5th of August as Crystal Palace take on Arsenal. The 8 o'clock kickoff at Selhurst Park. Now, that game and all should be quite interesting because Crystal Palace's luck against Arsenal over the last 5 years or so has not actually been too bad. If we say from around about the 1st of January 2017 to the 4th of April this year, say that Crystal Palace's record against Arsenal, it doesn't look too bad, to be honest. I mean, Crystal Palace, they've only had 4 defeats against Arsenal during that time, and they were all Premier League games. Now, last time those two sides played in the FA Cup, Arsenal beat them 2-1, but just looking at it here, though, that between the time of 1st of Jan 2017 and of course 4th of April this year, Crystal Palace's record against Arsenal, I may have said it before, they've got 3 wins during that period. Most of them have been draws, but still, I mean, Arsenal, really, they haven't exactly been that impressive during that time frame. So I think if you're a Crystal Palace fan, I think that could be quite intriguing for you as a opening day fixture. So yeah, definitely want to. Definitely you'll want to be excited as a Crystal Palace fan. But as an Arsenal fan, I think you might be just a bit nervous ahead of that game. As of course, again, you've had issues with Crystal Palace before them being a bit of a bogey team over the last few years or so. And also, though, just saying something here, I think that Arsenal, the way they were last season, they started off a bit rough, then got things really going towards I think it was game 10 or 11 where they really got going, but really apart from that, I think they really struggled. So it'd be interesting to see how Arsenal start the season off there away at Crystal Palace. Yes, on the Friday night. Now, last time they played away from home on Friday night was last season, and they lost 2-0 to Brentford. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be an Arsenal supporter right now after I check that up. But it'll be interesting to see how they do against Crystal Palace. Okay, on the Saturday, yeah, we've got a few intriguing ones. We've got AFC Bournemouth versus Aston Villa. Now, of course, Bournemouth back in the Premier League after I think it's like a 2-season absence they were not in the Premier League for. It might be 3, might be mistaken, it might have been 3, but who knows. And really, guys, do you know that's actually a bit of a coincidence, really? Because I'm just looking at it now. Just having a look now, and the first Premier League fixtures of the 2015/2016 season. I'm just looking at it here, and the first game that that Bournemouth played was against Aston Villa. So yeah, it's definitely a coincidence that first game they have back in the Premier League is against Aston Villa. So yeah, definitely a bit of a coincidence, I have to say. But also, guys, I'm just having a look here. Now, Nottingham Forest's first game back in the Premier League against Newcastle United, who definitely under Eddie Howe definitely improved a whole lot towards the end of last season. Of course, they really struggled under Steve Bruce for the first half of the season, but when Eddie Howe came in, I think he really changed things up. Got Newcastle really going for the better, if you will, and I think that Newcastle will be a very tough side for Nottingham Forest to face. But the way Nottingham Forest were playing under Steve Cooper, the former England under 21s manager, yeah, I think definitely the way Forest have been playing under him, I think it's really been quite entertaining football. So I think definitely those two managers coming to a head the first game of the season, I think that could make for quite an entertaining game at St James's Park. So yeah, I think Newcastle and Nottingham Forest fans, I think, will both be pleased with that one. Also, another game for fans to be pleased about if you're Leicester City and Brentford supporters, as those two clash opening game of the season. Now, Leicester last season definitely didn't prove to be the side under Brendan Rodgers that we'd seen do so well over the last 2 seasons or so. But definitely, I think, hopefully, that they'll be able to improve this season, hopefully. But it'll be interesting to see them try, and they was taking on Brentford side, who, of course, last season, I think they'll be pretty pleased with how last season went out. I mean, their first season in the Premier League last season for what, I think it was 75 years or something. Yeah, I think it's 75 years. Yeah, really went down quite well. They had a few definitely rough scrapes, but they also had some really good results against some of the bigger teams. They really did. Brentford, I mean, beating Arsenal 2-0 opening day of the season. Of course, that I feel for Brentford was biggest opening game they have had, especially when they're playing someone such as Arsenal's calibre last season. But they now got to face Leicester City, who hopefully will have improved, of course, over this pre-season. Brendan Rodgers, of course, he will have definitely be trying to improve his squad after what happened last season. Of course, they finished 9th in the table. Of course, I thought they'd be at least contesting for a Europa League or Champions League place. Really did not happen last season for Leicester, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do there. And as for Chelsea, I think definitely for them, definitely be interesting for them as they take on Everton. Of course, they got the late game, that being a 5:30 kickoff there at Goodison Park. Now, we all know that Everton have been a bit of a bogey team for Chelsea over recent years. Of course, Everton, they did beat Chelsea 1-0 at Goodison Park last season. So I think Chelsea will be looking to try and get a bit of revenge for that. But really, I think if you are a Chelsea supporter, I think you've got to know that start of the season for you, I think, will be really, really interesting to see how you get on. I mean, you did quite well at the start of the season last year before you had that blip right in December, and it pretty much continued on from there. You did well during the first half of the season, then you had that blip in December, and then things really didn't exactly go on as planned, really, from that moment on. So yeah, I think if Chelsea can get the win over Everton, I think hopefully that might give Chelsea that little something going into the new season. But also, I think for Jurgen Klopp, I think he has got the ideal game that he probably would have wanted. Fulham away at Craven Cottage, opening game of the season. I mean, really, it just says that. I think it just says that it's going to be a guaranteed Liverpool win. I mean, I can't really see Fulham getting anything out of that, especially with the way Jurgen Klopp's side have been over the course of last season. I mean, missing out on the title by a point. That must have been very annoying, and of course losing the Champions League final would have been very annoying as well. But for Jurgen Klopp, I think this season, I think if they can get a big win over Fulham, I think that might give Jurgen Klopp's side that added boost they will be wanting going into the new season, especially when you're facing a promoted team in Fulham on the opening day of the season. But don't underestimate Fulham though, because last season in the Championship they did have some big score lines. I mean, they had 6-0 against Luton, 7-0 versus Reading, 7-0 versus Blackburn. I could go on and on, but really I don't think we got the time. So yeah, really interesting stuff for Fulham supporters against Liverpool, starting off that season with a home game against the runners-up from last season, But again, as I was saying, don't underestimate Fulham. Of course, they can be a really dangerous side when they want to be, so really don't underestimate them at the slightest. If you do that, that will be your downfall in many ways. And yeah, let's just have a look at a few others. Of course, Leeds United, they take on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Of course, last season for Leeds had to be, well, quite the off season for them. I mean, the first season they had back in the Premier League got to mid-table, top 10, but last season, boy, did they really take a thump down to earth, finishing 17th in the table, just finishing outside the bottom three by, I think it was either 2 or 3 points, I think it were. Yeah, so for Leeds, it was just such a downfall last season, a downward spiral for them. But also you could say the same for Wolves, because I think the first season because the second season under Bruno Lage, I think Bruno Lage, this Portuguese manager, I think he's definitely, I mean, as manager at Wolves, of course, last season being his first season after Nuno Espirito Santo went to Tottenham. So yeah, really it was quite different for Wolves supporters, because I mean, for them they were thinking, right, this could be our year, we could get right back into the European picture, and maybe get into the Champions League or Europa League. But things really under Bruno really didn't work out for Wolves, and hopefully, I mean, definitely looked like, I mean, second half of the season, they definitely looked like they had gone off that honeymoon period and really got themselves used to how Bruno wanted to play, really. So yeah, I think definitely be interesting to see how Wolves do this time around. Maybe they'll be looking to get a little bit higher than where they were last season. Of course, Wolves did finish 8th in the table, which really isn't too bad if you're a Wolves supporter, but really, again, I think they wanted to go that little bit higher. And as for Tottenham, I think, again, they've got quite an easy game against Southampton, but again, I'll say the same thing as Fulham. I think Tottenham are mostly expecting a win out of that game, really. Tottenham pretty much expecting a good, comfortable home win, especially against a side such as Southampton. But again, you really don't want to underestimate Southampton. I mean, at their best days, they could really give you a really hard test. They really can do. So it'd be interesting to see how Tottenham handle that one on the opening day of the season at home to Southampton. So yeah, definitely, you really don't want to underestimate Southampton. So, yeah, definitely pay close attention to that one. I think Southampton really played well. I think they might be capable of pulling off a big shock at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So, yeah, definitely intriguing game for Tottenham there on that opening weekend. And then we got a couple of interesting games right on Sunday. Of course, Manchester United taking on Brighton and Hove Albion. Of course, the first competitive game for Eric Ten Hag as Man United manager, and I think he's definitely got an interesting and a big task ahead of him at Manchester United, because the way they've just been since Ferguson retired, I think they just really haven't been the best version of themselves during that time. And I think Eric Ten Hag, he's got quite a mission to try and bring Man United back to where they were, and he's got an interesting first game as they take on Brighton and Hove Albion. And as we know before, and I've said this with quite a couple of teams already, but for Man United, Brighton have been a bit of a bogey team when it comes to playing against Manchester United. I mean, they've had a few surprise results over the years. Of course, when they first came into the Premier League, I think they won that first game they had against United by 3-2 at the Amex that season. And of course, Brighton versus Man United games. See, I'm just having a look at that, just having a look here, and Brighton, they did have a big scoreline against United literally only a month ago. That 4-0 win for them just definitely says a lot about Man United and Man United games. So really, again, do not underestimate Brighton. Sorry, I was just trying to think of the name there. Just having a look at some of those games now. Just having a look at a few of Man United's games against Brighton at Old Trafford, and yeah, and the last time Man United actually lost against Brighton at Old Trafford, I'm just looking, actually they've never done it. So I think with the way Man United is now, and I think Man United definitely the first few games will be going through that bit of a development stage under Eric Ten Hag. I think things could definitely be interesting, especially that game there. So definitely a game to keep your eye on, especially if you're a Man United or Brighton and Hove Albion supporter. And okay, the first and the final game we're going to be talking about out the games we've been looking at during the opening day. I meant the opening weekend of the season. Is of course West Ham United versus Manchester City. Manchester City got a quite interesting test ahead of them from the first game of the new season against West Ham, and Manchester City again, they've had definitely troublesome games against West Ham over the years. Definitely more than so. Last season, of course, Man City, they were looking to try and retain their Premier League title, everything, but West Ham, they really proved to be the team that Man City were not expecting of. So yeah, definitely last season West Ham surprised Man City, and just the way West Ham have been under David Moyes, I just think they've really been the best that they can be under David Moyes. I mean, we know he's had a bit of a bad period when he was manager of Man United and of course Real Sociedad over in Spain. But I think West Ham for David Moyes definitely have really evolved as a team, and I think definitely possibly could be that team that could possibly get a surprise result against Manchester City on the opening day of the season. So definitely a team for Manchester City to worry about. Definitely, I think. So yeah, another game to keep your eye on, really. But anyway, guys, of course, that's my feelings or my opinions of the opening of course weekend of the Premier League season. Again, some very interesting games there, I have to agree. Of course, as I was saying, there's really interesting games in Crystal Palace versus Arsenal, Everton versus Chelsea, Brighton versus Manchester United versus Brighton, West Ham versus Manchester City, Fulham versus Liverpool, and Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest. Some very interesting games for the first weekend of the new Premier League season. Definitely things going to be quite interesting there. But guys, of course, let me know your thoughts. How do you feel that the opening season's fixtures are for you? Are you pleased with who you've been selected to play against for the opening game, or are you a bit disappointed, or are you a bit of, yeah, alright, I think it'll be interesting, like that? So yeah, please do let me know down in the comments below what you think of who you're going to be facing on the first weekend of the season. So yeah, please do let me know in the comments down below. And also guys, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel, Football Fan 148 there. And of course, I will see you in the next video. And guys, also do expect more daily content coming up on the channel. There will be more daily content and uploaded videos such as this one coming to the channel, of course, pretty soon. Of course, I'll be doing my transfer show here on the channel. Of course, I'll be doing videos for that, maybe bringing on a few guests or so really not exactly sure how it goes, but yeah, please do of course stay of course please do subscribe to the channel if you do want the latest updates and of course videos on the channel. But anyway guys, this is Football Fan 148 signing out. Hope you have a great day guys. I'll see you later. Peace.